think we're good to go.
And we're back, guys. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Scott here from Phantasma. I've got an excellent show lined up today. First off, I want to thank, we've got Sam Kajak here from he's the CEO of Mazer Gaming. And Mazer Gaming is an eSports club. They're world renowned. They have got some really great championship titles that we're going to be, under their belt that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be learning a little bit about what esports really is, how they generate the revenue, how they get exposure, and how this new generation of youth is creating, becoming professionals, building lifestyles off of playing video games. And I remember back when I was a kid, get off that, there's no future in that. And well, guess what? There's kids all over the world that are giving their families a big, should I do that on camera? But it's really exciting. And when I first got into Phantasma, it was 22 Racing Series that I bought a computer for. I bought a PC just so I could make a decision on whether or not I was going to invest into some SOL tokens. If I really believed in the product and it sold me like that, then started to peel the layers back and understand the Phantasma ecosystem, and it is unequivocally second to none. I'm not going to knock on any of the other projects that are out there, but the number 3 project right now in terms of market cap, the CEO just did an AMA last week, and it is kind of fascinating to hear how far behind they are in technology. What they're rolling out in the next couple of weeks with, say, Goguen or and have smart contracts down the road. Phantasma is leading edge when it comes to this technology, when it comes to NFTs. So we're going to be able to share some of that. But I don't want to take time away from that. I've got a lot of questions to get in with Sam. Sam, I think we should still be able to hear you if everything's working properly.
Yeah, we should be all good.
Right on, dude. Right on. Dude, thanks for your time. It's been great getting to know you over the last few weeks and, talking about all the different things that your organization could capitalize on with blockchain. But I know that everybody that's listening to us right now definitely has a lot of questions about your organization, what you do, and we'll get into some of that. But before we do, let's learn a little bit about yourself. And I think this is the first time I'm hosting an AMA with an American. You are whereabouts are you in the country?
Yeah, I live in Connecticut in the United States. I've lived there my whole life. We just got so much snow this week. As we were talking about before, we got hit pretty hard with a lot of snow. I know a lot of people are into that, but it's a lot of work going out there and shoveling and getting all that done. But that's the kind of climate we get there in Connecticut. Other than that, it's a great state, and I enjoy living here.
It's a beautiful state. I'm a big skier and snowboarder, so some good stuff. I think you got Killington out there. That's a hill I haven't hit yet, but I'm pretty stoked to do that. I was talking to a colleague there last week, and from Australia, and actually she's on the line right now. Hey Gail, what's up? And we were talking about. I said, one of my great favorite things to do is open up a beer and go and snowblow. I love small engines, and run that machine, and it's definitely a lot of fun. But I'm in Kentucky right now, and they just had an ice storm here, and they don't have snow removal in this state, so it's like the cars are in the ditch all the way down the interstate. It was absolutely insane. All right, so you started an e-club organization. I mean, were you a gamer growing up? Was this a vision you had? Tell me about how, what got you into this world?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've always been into gaming and everything on that end. One of the main games that really got me into esports and everything was Call of Duty. That was one of my main games I played growing up. With Modern Warfare 2 and those kind of games. So eventually, as that progressed, I mean, I'd be putting in like 5 to 6 hours a night playing those kind of games, and just playing with my friends and everything like that. And eventually, once I think Call of Duty Advanced Warfare came out was when Call of Duty, I really saw them starting to push out their esports scene, and they were adding different competitive things and like newsletters and things like that into their game. And I started to check it out, and there was these other websites that were starting to pop up, such as, like UMG Game Battles. And then I was like, okay, I'll check this out. I like playing this game, and I played this game enough to kind of just try it out competitively. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm amazing at the game or any games, because I'm not. That's probably why I'm not out there competing right now. But other than that, I was able to just sort of get my nose into the industry and see the great things about it, and then eventually go on to creating my own thing.
Well, we'll get into Call of Duty in a little bit, but what's your favorite game then, or what did you play as a kid?
Yeah, definitely Modern Warfare 2 was one of my bigger games that I like playing a lot. It's kind of funny how different games are, because growing up I was into all those different shooters, and kind of now I'm just kind of into those chill games, like on my Nintendo Switch that I've been playing a lot. All those different games like Mario Kart, and they just released Super Mario 3D All Stars with like Galaxy and 64 and all those different games. So I've kind of been getting into more of that kind of like laid back gaming, that I could just kind of get on, de-stress, and just, do my own thing like that.
That's awesome, dude. And so you had mentioned, you said, I started seeing some websites pop up. Do you remember when you realized that like esports was an actual thing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know for the most part, esports and competitive gaming has been around for a while. It's always been a thing since, video games have existed. It's just really that point where esports got to, having all of these fans and having these people creating their careers on the game. And I think really, I remember watching a certain event, like I mentioned before, for Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. And I was watching it, and I remember one of the casters saying stuff about, these players are playing 12 hours a day and they're living in their own houses for these games. And I was like, okay, well, that's kind of crazy. I understand this is like the best of the best, but, just seeing that as a possibility for these people to make their careers on this game, and, being able to compete at a full-time level. I mean, I just saw it as an amazing thing. And, video games is something that people love, and people, do it in their free time. And I think for any person in the world, being able to do something you love as a career is amazing.
If you love what you do, you're not working a day of your life.
Yep, exactly.
I have a similar story for that. I've got an internet marketing agency, and I graduated with my marketing degree and specialty in e-commerce. And when I moved to the United States, I was kind of put into a position I couldn't get a job right away. Even though you get married, it takes a year and a half to get that green card, 18 months, and you can't get a job, but you can start a business. So I started a business, and by the time I got my green card, I had 5 people working for me, and in the world of marketing. But 15 to 17 years of doing that and teaching it and speaking, I was getting tired, in 2016, 2017, and blockchain has changed that, and it's just amazing when you find something you have a passion for. Like last week, I clocked 15 hours and 28 minutes of screen time on average every single day. I know it's unhealthy, but you wake up and you start working, you go to bed, you dream about it, and it's great when you love it. It's no replacement. So that's really, I'll say it, really effing cool to be able to have that, that passion.
Definitely.
And compete, and it's pretty neat. I find it fascinating, some of these esports events, and what has been transpiring over the last few years. You may be able to tell me a little bit more about this. This esports stadium that's in Philadelphia, I think holds 3,500 people, and you've probably been in some pretty neat environments where people are coming to watch in person, to watch your team play a video game, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really amazing. How it kind of started off is, people would reach out to these different venues, and they'd be like, all right, what are you trying to do here? You're just trying to get people in this venue and set things up and compete. Whatever. We'll let you guys come into our place, set up a bunch of different things. You bring your equipment, and just kind of that side of things where it's kind of how it started off. People would just all gather together and play their favorite games and set up their own little tournaments. And obviously once the fans got there, it kind of got into that realm where, okay, we need these big venues and pretty much like stadiums now that they're building to host these events with tens of thousands of people attending. And it's crazy to see how big it's grown in that sense.
Fascinating. Have you ever seen the show or the movie or documentary, whatever you want to call it, High Score on Netflix?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, that's you're talking a lot of what's inside that. And
Yeah.
and it goes all the way back to the 70s when people would bring their and then LAN parties started back in the 90s. I remember LAN parties and bringing my own computer and what for a night.
Yeah.
Like, it was a big deal to bring all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fascinating. But the internet's changed that. So some of these live sports, esports events. Do you have a story, like a crazy story, or something that happened at one that kind of comes to mind that you thought was really cool or fun or exciting at one of these actual live events?
Yeah, definitely. I guess when I think about, I guess in more recent memory, when we were competing in Gears of War. Gears of War is one of those games that's they have a strong community and a lot of fans. There's a bunch of different major events throughout the year in different places. For example, I remember there was one at Mexico City. I believe we ended up getting like 6th or 7th place out of I think there was like 150 teams there. It was a pretty cool event, but one thing I really do remember is like the crowd there was amazing in Mexico City. And for a place, Gears of War is a big game in Mexico, and a lot of people play there. And there's this one team. They were called Ghost Gaming at the time, and they were like these huge favorites going into the event. So the whole crowd, was chanting left and right, and that kind of environment is with all people like chanting at the stadium is what I think makes esports great for these different events. And if you look at Gears of War, and I think Gears of War is really one of those communities that I love so much because they're one of the few events that I've seen that happen where you've got this whole entire venue filled with all these people chanting for a team. Unfortunately, it wasn't us, but I do think it's still pretty cool to see that from a whole entire pretty much country surrounding this team and cheering for them. And it's pretty awesome. But definitely on the Gears of War side, one thing that I think was pretty cool, Gears of War is controlled mainly by this one roster. In Gears of War, in Gears of War 4, they basically won 22 out of 24 events, I believe. So they pretty much had their dynasty inked in. I mean, think of that as a major sports team doing that, and you'll be like, wow. They'd go to every single event, win every single game. They were originally under Optic Gaming, and then eventually they switched over to NRG. And one of my favorite memories was when I think it was February of 2019. We were the first team to actually knock them out in Gears of War 5. We were the first team to finally beat them. And obviously with them winning pretty much 99% of the tournaments and being the most dominant team, some people say in esports history, with like how amazing they were at their game title. Definitely, I'd say in console history with Xbox. But being able to go to that event as the underdogs and knock them out, and eventually place high up there. We didn't win the event, but I mean, just knocking them out was just a huge publicity thing, and it was a great feeling.
Wow. Man, I swear to God, like, I show this stuff, you're literally giving me some of these goosebumps, and just it's I'm at a sports event right now, and when my son was born 15 years ago, I was not a fan of sports, but moving to America's got such a really, really heavy sports culture, and I didn't know a lick of football in 2005. It's kind of amazing. I didn't know any rules or anything like that. But the culture of it is fascinating, and being a hockey father and going and just collaborating, coming together and cheering, and that drives the adrenaline more than like just the excitement of sports. And you're describing all of that in an esports world. So I know I've always wondered this. I've always wanted to hear this question, this answer from somebody such as yourself. Are esports a real sport?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Obviously not on like the physical aspect, but I mean, for me, there's a lot of different sports out there, that range from the physicality. I mean, if you think in a bunch of different sports, if you compare like baseball to football, obviously, baseball is a little bit less physical. But I see baseball more on like the mental side of things, and knowing what pitch to throw and that side of things than just putting your body out there to compete. But obviously with every single sport, there's those different kind of things. There's the physical side of things, there's the educating, the watching film, and esports has got all of that.
Mm-hmm.
These gamers on the professional level, they're playing their game for 12 hours a day. They have their own coaches. They're traveling out to all of these different major events. They're competing for championships like any other sport. And it's definitely a real sport, because they're putting in all of that time, just like any other athlete, and they're going out there trying to be the best, and they're making a living off of it. They've now, like we talked about before, they've got these huge venues and stadiums now, that are putting a lot of fans. They're filling up stadiums. Obviously, the pandemic has kind of changed things, but we do know that when things get a little bit better, they'll be filling up these huge arenas in the United States, once again. But yeah, I mean, if you look at like the NBA, they did a lot of investing into their game, 2K, and they all basically almost every single NBA team except for a select few. I don't know exactly how many it is. I don't know too much about it, but I know they do invest in all of these arenas, and all of these players and all these facilities for just these guys to go out there and compete on NBA 2K against each different club, online, of course. So yeah, I mean, anything where you put in that amount of time and dedicate that, I think for sure it's a sport.
Are you a Patriots fan coming from Connecticut?
No, I'm a Giants fan.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But I thought I'd ask because I just learned a little tidbit, and love him or hate him, what Brady's doing is fascinating. And
yeah, of course.
I was thinking about this, and it was kind of I learned something last week about Brady that I wasn't aware of, and I didn't like him when he was with the Patriots, but I kind of really like him now. For what he's been able to pull off. But Tom Brady, what people don't realize, the guy's 44 years old. He's a year younger than me. I'm sore every time I get out of bed or whatnot, but this guy here does 3 hours of mental training every single day. He spends 1 hour, doing a variety of different things for age regression. You look at the kid, he looks like he's 28 years old.
Yeah.
And, where I'm going with this is he dictates that the majority of his progress is not practicing on the field, the physical aspect of it. It's the mental aspect of it. And
exactly.
So, this is the greatest athlete, arguably the greatest athlete of all time, of all sports.
Yeah.
And he's only there because of the mind, not because of the body. And so
exactly.
When I was thinking about, I'm wondering how Sam's going to respond when I ask him, is it a real sport? I definitely will argue unequivocally, it absolutely is. I'm sure you've been in that debate before.
Yeah.
But it's great to hear your perspective. It's pretty much quite in alignment with the mind and our mindset.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think with every sport, people don't realize how much time they put in off the field. It's you could say these NFL players are working every single second they're awake, if you really think about it, because they're spending these hours at practices, and then when they're off the field, they're doing this mental training, they're watching film, they're setting up game plans for their next opponent. So it's more than just the physicality of putting it out there on the field. You could throw some big buff guy on the field, and if he doesn't know anything about football, doesn't know how anything works, it's not going to work out.
So that's cool. So like, I never even thought of that. That I bet a lot of your programmers on your team watch opponents' gameplay to try to learn
Yeah,
perhaps
yeah.
strategies, and I bet that's pretty common.
Yeah, definitely. It's for sure common. Most professional teams have a coach, and they do this thing called VOD review, where after they finish their practicing, which they call it scrims in esports, they'll hop onto a Discord call with the team, and their coach will have all of these videos set up of all different previous matches that they've played, that other teams have played, and they just sort of analyze there and do different strategies based on like maps, weapons. It depends on the game, of course. But yeah, a lot of time goes into that.
Huh. I want to ask you about a small little game, Call of Duty.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, anybody that's got a kid probably knows that game. And
yeah.
what was it last year? I was watching a video, and you guys had got it was the major international Call of Duty tournament, and you placed. How well did you do in that tournament?
Yeah, was that the one against Mind Freak?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that event was pretty fun. So the way Call of Duty works is at the time this was basically the last year before they went into franchising.
Hmm.
Pretty much now Call of Duty's got a team for a bunch of different cities across the world, and then all those players that were previously under esports organizations are now competing for cities. So they kind of gave the boot to esports organizations and had these cities and investors bid for $50 million for their own spots in their Call of Duty league that they have now. But before that, you were able to enter these huge open tournaments where anyone could put together a team. Obviously you got to pay for the entry and get in there, but they had these huge open brackets with. I mean, I think the most amount I've seen was like over 200 teams of 5 people at an event at the time. I don't know. I don't remember exactly for this event that we played Mind Freak at, but we made it. We made it all the way to the final of this event. And one of the coolest things that I think Call of Duty had at the time was if you made it to the final of the open bracket, you were able to get on the main stage because there was a separation between like the pro teams at the time and the open bracket teams. And so if you made it all the way to the final, they put you on the mainstream. They put you on the main stage, and they just kind of push you out to everything. And that's kind of in 2019 we were a little bit more established in Call of Duty. But if you look back in like 2017 into 2018, we were one of those smaller teams that was just trying to work their way up to the top of that bracket. And that wasn't the first time we got there. That was the second time we got there. But, just being able to be up on that main stage with the crowd in the background and everything, even though we ended up getting double dipped in the final to Mind Freak, who, I mean, they ended up winning the next like couple events. I remember after that they beat us. They were a crazy talented team. But being up there on that main stage was just amazing.
That's cool, dude. And anybody that's watching this, you got to go check out. I think maybe we'll in the recording throw some overlays. That's probably what I should have done was overlaid some video of some of these events, and it's
Yeah,
fascinating.
definitely.
It's guys, it's like watching a professional. I got to watch myself because it truly is a professional sports broadcast with announcers and beautiful lights, and it is
Yeah,
top
if you go watch
notch.
that video from us against Mind Freak, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely you could see it all out there, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's the real deal. And once this pandemic opens back up, now, I mean, you'd think in a certain sense that the pandemic would lend to your business very well, but in a sense, it really hasn't. Although Twitch has increased its viewership by 80 to 100%. I want to dig in a little bit about your business structure, and you've really got two core groups of of people within the organization, right? You've got your.
Yeah, yeah,
Could you tell us about these two different groups and what they do
yeah,
and what they
definitely.
bring to
So
the club?
yeah, definitely. So mainly for us, yeah, we've got our esports teams. Right now we're competing in a bunch of different game titles, some new
And
ones, some
these
older
are
ones.
gamers, right? These are gamers that go out and play the game and.
Yeah,
win on
yeah.
everything?
These are straight up esports teams. These people compete for us. Obviously, right now it's online events, but in the future it will be these big esports events around the United States, and they'll be competing at these live events. So yeah, right now we've got teams in different games. Pokemon Go is a new one that we're competing in. Rainbow Six Siege, CS:GO, Due Process. We just won a big event there.
Let's talk about this one a moment. I wanted to dig into that.
Yeah,
Or should
yeah,
we
sure.
table that and come back to it if you want to continue?
I think it aligns with what we're talking about. Regardless, we could definitely dive into there.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a new championship that you just won, the Due Process Open, correct? It's called.
Yeah, so that was in partnership with DreamHack, who they've been around for so long. They
Mm-hmm.
host these many different esports events in so many different countries and locations. And this one was for DreamHack Leipzig in Germany. So they partnered with Due Process, the game. It's a new game. It's an amazing game. You guys should definitely all go check it out. Basically, it's an FPS game where it's kind of like CS:GO, but the map changes every single round. So a big core of their game is every single time you get into a round, the map is different and everything is randomized. So you could plan as much as you want, but a big part of this game is they get thrown into this map and they have to strategize right away and plan everything. So it's a really cool game. That's definitely on the come up, but yeah, we were lucky enough to be able to go into this event. Yeah, the Due Process Open, and it was a really cool event. The Due Process League, which we compete in pretty much every weekend, except for this weekend. Funny enough, because it's the bye week before the playoffs start next weekend. So we are the number one seed going into that. Going into the playoffs. So definitely, check our Twitter for some tweets next weekend on where you could watch that if you want to check out the game. But we've definitely established ourselves in that pro league, so we were able to go there and get an invite to that event. And yeah, so the way it was set up was it started off with Swiss Play. So Swiss Play is one of those. I guess it's not really popular for like a bracket style. But basically, you just play against teams, and then depending on your record, the next round you play against a team with a similar record, and then that all sorts its way out into seeding. Once you just keep getting up there and you keep having better competition every round that you play, and then it sort of sorts itself out for the seeding. And so there was 32 teams for this event, and the top 4 teams make it into the finals pretty much, and then it's just a single elimination bracket of the 4 teams. And so we were able to sneak our way in there as the 2 seed. It wasn't looking good because in Due Process, you're able to actually tie in the game. So if you finish in a tie, you kind of get like half a point. And so when it comes into the standings, we ended up having 2 ties out of our 6 games that we played. And basically what we had to do was win every other match, which we did, to make sure that we got into that top 4. And then once we were in that top 4 bracket, we played some crazy matches that went into double overtime. And it was like, we were destined to end in a tie. It seemed like it was like our favorite thing. We were attracted to tying every single round. But we were able to pull off that win and take it home. So it was really cool. Our Due Process team, they put a lot of time into their game. Like I said before, they do all those reviews outside of just going on there and practicing. So, I was really happy for them to take home that win.
That's there was a lot to unpack right there that you just discussed. First off,
Yeah.
Next week is the finals. This is a bye week right now, and you guys can go and watch these finals live. I'm definitely going to be there. And you had just won the Due Process Open, and we have a bunch of people here asking for NFT drops, and I don't know if they've really learned this yet, but we drop at the end. So we're going to be dropping a link, but I think this is a good time to talk a little bit about what it's going to be, because I think it's a new concept. It's a new idea. And
Definitely, yeah.
I'm going to show it on the screen right now just so they can see it. And, it's just a simple, beautiful graphic of Mazer Gaming that they're the champions for the Due Process Open.
Yeah.
And there's going to be 100 NFTs created. And we will drop the link, but I'll give you a little hint. If you go to Mazer Gaming on Twitter and you follow them, you will find the link on their feed before this
Yes.
event is
Yeah.
over. So you can leave me right now, which is marketing 101 faux pas that I shouldn't do. But if you're so eager to go get an NFT at this point in time, head over to Mazer Gaming, follow them, and then you'll also be able to uh, watch them next week. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And so,
Yeah, definitely.
how
Yeah.
many pro players do you have on your team?
Yeah. So right now, yeah, like we were talking about before we start to get into Due Process, we have our team pretty much split up into our pro players and competitive players, and then our content creators who do streams on Twitch and YouTube and other platforms like that. And of course they play their games, but obviously it's a little bit more laid back, and just get on the stream and be able to play it for all their fans. And on Twitch, our content creation team we have a bunch of different Twitch partners. They have probably around 200,000 plus followers on Twitch. So they all have got their big communities, and they work really hard to stream pretty much like every day for all these people. So that side's pretty cool. But yeah, but between our esports teams and our content creators, we have around 50 people that you could find on our website, mazer.gg. You could find a lot of our content creators and some of our teams. We do have to add some new stuff, since we're always constantly putting out some announcements and things like that, and bringing new people on. But we do have a really big team, and when you think about it, with all of these different streams that are happening and these different events that are happening, we're able to keep ourselves pretty busy.
That's really cool. That's really neat. Definitely looking forward to checking some of that out. Just to recap on this NFT and some of that aspect, that's kind of where I want to get into now, is some of these discussions of this new technology. And when you first started to explore, well, let's take even a step back. When did you recognize that blockchain technology could go hand in hand with the gaming world?
Yeah, so my introduction into crypto, we were at the point, I think this was early 2018. So we were talking with this company called Intergalactic Gaming, who I believe are now on Polygon. I think they just changed their name to, which was Matic. They're a great tournament platform. They just kind of help set up tournaments. They have their own coin, and that was kind of our introduction with crypto. We worked with them in the past, and we were able to come up with all of these good ideas, and definitely appreciate them for just kind of enlightening me on everything, because before that, obviously I was that person that knew about crypto, knew about blockchain, and I've seen all these different companies, but I was just like, okay, well, I didn't really see how it fit into esports and gaming. And once I was able to learn the possibilities with blockchain and smart contracts, and how they could help with setting up these different tournaments and payments, and of course now with like NFTs and everything, that's really the value that I see in it. And it's kind of a no-brainer if you think about all of these different like video games. How many video games over the years have their own little like currency system, and that's kind of how I look at it. All of these different video games have pretty much integrated their own currencies at some point. It just it wasn't a crypto, and now you're starting to see all these different games pop up. Of course, you guys have got some great games with 22 Racing Series that have that integrated. So, it's definitely bright for the future with everything on that end.
It's literally a no-brainer when it comes to the concept of NFTs, and we talk about and the way it's built, and some of the different aspects on. I mean, you're the CEO of Mazer, and you founded Mazer, and you publicly said, I'm not the best gamer. I've got people below me that are great. So your job, your job as the CEO is to take care of your people and ensure that you've got
Yeah, yeah,
sponsorships and ensure that, you're lining up revenue opportunities for them. And, we're just having a discussion. As a matter of fact, I was having a discussion a couple of days ago with a Phantasma advisor,
yeah, yeah,
and he just kind of blew my mind a little bit when he was talking about sports clubs in itself, not
yeah,
necessarily esports. And
yeah.
the light bulb went on. I went, wow, it's esports clubs the same thing, and it's actually lends itself even better. And so here, for example, you guys are going to a tournament this weekend, and you've got a team, and if each one of those team members, had a trading card or an NFT trading card, perhaps with their face on it of some sort or something like that, and said, number one, and each of those content creators issued 25 NFTs of their own and sold them onto a marketplace. Well, of course, fans are going to want that.
Of course. Yeah,
There's only 25 of them, and they had just won a particular tournament, and that's history, and
yeah,
that's always on the blockchain, and so that in itself is a potential new revenue source for an esports club like like Mazer. So it's just a small piece of how blockchain could potentially improve an esports
yeah,
business.
definitely. Yeah, on the side of like all of our Twitch creators, obviously they aren't as familiar with NFTs and crypto. Especially some new people coming in. I got to give them my spiel on everything, and just sort of explain everything. But once you get to that point where it's like, okay, if we just have this thing set up where people could watch my Twitch stream and have a good experience, get their collectibles for watching, regardless of all the technology and onboarding and all that kind of stuff, you're gonna have.
Oh, Sam disappeared, folks. There you go. Welcome back, Sam. Now I can hear it. Maybe it's the delay.
Yeah, it's possible, but
Or or maybe it's me. I said Friday night I'm gonna have a beer on air. I'm half done. Probably last time. All
I
right.
think, yeah, there's always going to be little problems like that, but at the end of the day, it's great that we're able to do this.
Yeah, it is. So let's take a look at some of the questions here.
Sure.
People are voting questions up, and well, I think we've kind of answered this one a little bit. How will Mazer Gaming utilize Phantasma? I think we touched on that in terms of potential NFTs for the streamers, and um,
Yeah, and
of
another
course.
thing too was to really get involved with some of those other games. With like 22 Racing Series. That's something that we want to get involved with.
Hmm.
Just sort of um, you know, get some of our streamers and our people into the game. Checking it out, and some other cool things that we could definitely do on there.
And I can't say too much right now, but I think you know what I'll be talking about, Sam. But we do have a tournament coming up with 22 Racing Series,
Nice,
and
nice.
and it's exciting. And yeah, Mazer will be involved one way or another. We've already made that commitment, but we won't
Yeah.
say
Yep.
what yet.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. Yeah. So
um,
for sure.
how has Mazer Gaming discovered Phantasma? So I think that question is saying, how did you find us?
Yeah, definitely. So we came across you guys on Twitter. If you look at some of our following on Twitter, it's a bunch of people in the crypto space. So we've got all these different accounts that I sit there and scroll through the feed, and we eventually came across you guys. And anything with gaming and crypto, kind of my eyes jump out of my head. And I checked it out. I remember coming into your Telegram group and talking with some people before, I formally reached out to you guys, but and
Hmm.
just trying to learn about everything. But I definitely saw it as a good fit.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I guess this is a good lead into the next question. Will you guys from Mazer be playing 22 Racing Series? Well, you've already played it, right?
Yeah, I personally played it myself. We definitely still got to set up a few of our different, content creators with the game, which we'll definitely do in the future, so they could test it out. I know one of our streamers in particular. His name is Brock UK. That's his Twitter handle. You could go check him out if you want to, but he's one of our creators that's like huge into crypto and huge into these kind of games. So I think something that we'll definitely do in the future is get him set up with like a stream. Maybe we could get your community involved and get everyone involved on that end with him playing the game. But we'll definitely get our people set up, and then obviously in the future with some tournaments and that kind of stuff too. So
yeah. As you know, 22 Racing Series is still in beta, and we don't have multiplayer out yet.
Yeah.
Well, I say we on as if I'm with Goaty, but I do work for some Goaty. But the one thing I want to differentiate here to everybody, and bringing this up is this partnership right here is with Phantasma, and Goaty is definitely in discussions, and there are some things that are going to be happening with Mazer, but it's just a can't.
Of course. Yeah.
Can't release it all at this time just yet.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a cool question from Brian. What's the difference from competing over the internet or live? Does it matter, or is it just for
yes.
hype?
Nope, there is a huge difference competing over the internet and competing live, and that difference is competing over the internet. Obviously, there's people that live in different places and have different internet connections. And so one of the main things, and let's talk about a game like Super Smash Bros. That has terrible Wi-Fi support. That's kind of what it's known for with the competitive thing online. And so if you look at a game like that, like Super Smash Bros., I don't know if anyone here is familiar with it, but you kind of just fight with these different characters from Nintendo, and it's a fighting game. And so one of the main differences from competing over the internet is that there's like input delay. So you'll see competitors straight up use different characters and different movesets when they're competing online because the difference is so big than LAN. Because when you're competing on LAN with that kind of internet connection, there's no kind of delays and everything runs smoothly. But when you're on internet, you could have different connection issues. Like I said, that input delay is a huge thing. So you'll see some of the best players in the world main different characters. And these are characters, I don't know exactly how many characters Super Smash Bros. Has, but there's a lot. And most people pick out a character that they main, and that's who they compete in during their events. And, they study all their move sets, and they put so much hours into a character. And when they go online, it's not even worth it. They'll switch to another character just because it's so different. And that's why so many different esports teams and esports competitors will tell you that they love playing at live events because it's the best it's going to get. You don't have to worry about internet connection or any kind of delays or people lagging out of the game and getting kicked off of it. It's the best version of the game you're going to get. And as a competitor, they don't want to have to worry about their internet going out or getting kicked out of the game, or they shoot someone and it doesn't register. So that's definitely one of the big differences, and I'm glad you asked that because it's a real thing that's talked about a lot.
I didn't even think about it. I didn't ask it. That was Brian that asked it, and I thought, I don't know if there's much merit to that question. But boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate it, Brian.
I was talking to my son, and right there, that was an idiot move of me. And I explained to Ashton. I said, an idiot doesn't mean you're stupid. An idiot is just somebody that's ignorant, and there's definitely a lot of idiots in the crypto world. Like my buddy, it finally got him to buy some Bitcoin a couple of weeks ago, and he bought it at like 32, and it's at 47. He's like, Scott, blah blah blah, check this out. And last night, I'm talking to him. I'm actually over at his house, and he says, "Yeah, so I downloaded Robinhood and I bought some Doge stuff." Oh fuck, dude, really? Like, you're doing so well, but now you're an idiot. Why? It's because you're ignorant. Well, what is it? It's nothing.
Well, that's the problem. A lot of people see that. A lot of people see, like if you look at the Dogecoin, think about how many people went in there, created an account, invested in Doge, lost a shit ton of money, and then just said, "Oh, whatever, I'm done with crypto. It's stupid." I could say that I'm sure thousands of people, that maybe even more, that has happened to, and they kind of just push it aside on that end, which is unfortunate.
It really is unfortunate. I mean, it's sometimes some of these things just blow me away. I don't know if I shared this story on the air or with you earlier, but I was talking to that dude, father, a hockey dad, and he owns a Tesla, and he just bought a Tesla a couple of months ago, I guess, and he brought it to the tournament here, and we're talking
Yeah,
about it. I
yeah.
said, so what do you think about Tesla having 1.5 billion of Bitcoin on their balance sheet? And he says, what's that? I said, Bitcoin? He says, yeah. What's that? Bitcoin. He says, yeah. And I'm thinking, my God, you're a wealthy man. You're doing all right, and you don't even know what it is. And then the next father down says, "Oh, that's just all fairy tales and pixie dust. It's fake
Yeah.
money." I'm like, dude, how can you say that? This leads me into what I love about Phantasma, and it's 3 words: use, utility, and adoption. And I don't give a shit about what anybody says. At the end of the day, that's what brings value to Phantasma. We have people using our chain. We have utility because we're solving problems, and we have
Yep.
a consistent rate of adoption. And
Yeah.
you go back 20 years. When the .com era was coming about, and that the companies that had use, utility, and adoption are the organizations that flourished. And so that's why I'm extremely bullish. I don't give a shit about what anybody says about crypto or Bitcoin or any of the dollars and cents. At the end of the day, Phantasma's got use, utility, and adoption, and most chains today can't say that because
Yeah.
most chains don't even have the technology we have. I mean, even Cardano can't even touch us in terms of the tech, but they're number 3 in market cap, which is what's weird about crypto.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely. I agree. I mean,
So
that's just how it is sometimes. I mean, especially, but when you have all of these ignorant people who just kind of brush away crypto without even looking into it. The good thing is that this year alone, just from Bitcoin blowing up, the industry as a whole has gained a lot of people, and I just saw BitPay integrate with Apple Wallet today, which I thought was really cool. So I do think a lot of these big companies are just kind of hopping on everything, and that's a really good sign for the industry.
Oh, jeez. That bank that just announced that they're putting it on their balance sheet out of New York a couple of days ago, the rumors about Apple having 5 billion in crypto that they're going to announce. It's
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like just 2021 so far, I mean,
ah,
there's been some big steps made.
that's awesome, dude. You're a very smart man, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. And you're very forward thinking. And when we first started talking, I'm really excited about our relationship together on how we can help generate some new revenue streams for your people, and try some new things out. So we'll definitely have to have a powwow next week, Sam,
Oh yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
launch some of this stuff and get it going. And I think on that note, um, we can end this stream. So
All right,
um, I want to thank you for your time. It's been awesome, and I
of course.
apologize to all of my humble soldiers about this failure or problems or whatever. I'm blaming the hotel.
No,
So
yeah. I mean, the fact that we're able to do it is great. Problems are always going to
yeah,
happen. So,
yeah.
I appreciate you setting all this up for us. It was great to share some information with your community. Hopefully get them involved with ours, and obviously from there, we'll start putting things out together. So it's definitely going to be a good ride.
That's awesome, dude. On that note, thank you very much, and peace out. Bye.
All right. Yeah. Have a good one, guys. Thank you.